Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can't hear you. If a woman or a man is not fasting, can they what? Can they sit in it together? Inshallah ta'ala, there's nothing wrong with that. These are based off of intentions. If a person wishes to sit in the masjid and restrict himself to the worship of Allah, focusing on the Quran, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully, inshallah, there is a reward in that. Can the i'tikaf be made outside of Ramadan? That's a different story. Is there i'tikaf without fasting? It's a different discussion. But the general concept of i'tikaf is for you to go to the masjid, sit in the masjid, and focus and concentrate on what you need to do spiritually. There's nothing wrong with that, and hopefully there's a reward in that. And many of the people of knowledge say that i'tikaf can be made outside of the month of Ramadan. Wallahu a'lam. Haikala Saad. Marhaba. Marhaba bik. Any other questions before we start, brothers and sisters?
Someone sick or traveling, it's better to use the rukhsa, or if you're able to continue fasting, it's better.
فهمت. هو على قولين لأهل العلم. منهم من قال الأخذ بالعزيمة ومن قال الأخذ بالرخصة. ولكل من الفريقين أدلة ووجهات النظر. النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام يقول كما في الحديث الصحيح: إن الله يحب أن تؤتى رخصه كما يكره أن تؤتى معاصيه، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. وفي حديث آخر: صدقة تصدق الله بها عليكم فاقبلوا صدقته، في قصر الصلاة. فقضية الرحمة والأخذ بالرحمة هذا يعني لا شك ولا يعني لا ريب من وجه، هذا هو الأفضل، أن الإنسان يأخذ بهذه الرخص. ومن وجه آخر من أهل العلم من يقول الأصل هو الصيام، وإذا أفطرت لزمك القضاء وأنت تصوم لحالك. الآن الصوم مع المسلمين أسهل وفي الوقت وإلى آخره. فمنهم ومنهم الله أعلم. الذي يظهر والله أعلم أنه على حسب حال الإنسان، حسب عملك وسبب السفر، سفر للعمل، سفر للسياحة، على حسب الظروف. على حسب. لكن في بعض الأوقات مهم جدا أن الإنسان يظهر السنة، لأن بعض الناس يعتقد ويظن أنه لا يجوز الإفطار مطلقا والأخذ بالرخصة في الطيارات 2017 في مكيفات وفي يعني للأسف يغلب الجهل على السنة. يعني بعض الأحيان الإنسان يظهر السنة للناس ويبين لهم ويعلمهم أن هذا جائز وليس فيه بأس، والله عز وجل ما كان ربك نسيا، ويخلق ما لا تعلمون من المراكب، الخيول، البغال، الحمير، هذه في ذاك الزمن. الآن تغيرت الأحوال والأوضاع، لكن الله عز وجل قد علم هذا، فلا بد balance. The question was إن شاء الله هذا واضح بإذن الله. The question was regarding what's best when you're traveling or when you're sick, when you have the ability to fast. Should you fast, or should you take the rukhsa, the concession? Should you take the allowance? I don't have to fast. I could. My tooth is bothering me just a bit. My head is hurting just a bit, but I'm not going to die. I can do it. I'm traveling on an airplane, and it's air conditioned, it's carpet. I'm sitting back. I'm not in the sun. I'm not traveling on a donkey or a horse. I can fast, but I am traveling. So is it best to break my fast or to keep my fast? We said that there are two main views from the people of knowledge. Two main views from the people of knowledge with regards to which is best. Some of them say it's best to break the fast and to take the concession. And others, they say the exact opposite, is best to keep the fast. And both of these two groups, they have their proofs and their evidences. They have their ways of looking at them. They have their ways of understanding the argument that they support or go against. So the first group of scholars, they say, is that the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us in the hadith that means Allah loves for you to take his concessions. Allah loves this thing. Listen carefully to this hadith. Allah loves for you to do the things that he has allowed you to do. Just like Allah hates for you to do the things that He has not allowed you to do. So they say the slave should take what Allah gives him. As the Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith, not talking about fasting, but regarding prayer, regarding traveling. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that it is sadaqah, it's charity that Allah has handed to you. فَقْبَلُوا صَدَقَتَهُ. So take his charity. If there was a servant, and the servant got a raise or bonus or some extra money or time off or food from the owner of the mansion. I'm a maid, and the one whom I work for, my employer, he says, take today off. Here's some extra money for yourself. Buy yourself something nice. Buy your family something nice. This is a servant now, or a maid. They're getting paid. Would it be befitting not to take the money? Of course, the one offering you the extra money with no strings attached, of course, he'd be offended. No, it's okay, no thank you. You're too good for my gift? It's not good enough for you? I'm trying to help you out. You're loyal to me. You take care of me. You keep me safe. I want you to have a good time once in a while. It will be unbefitting, let alone if it was an actual servant, the slave, and your master said, take this, do this. It will be unbefitting for you to reject it. So this is the concept of taking Allah's mercy, taking what Allah allows, what Allah has given you. So they say it's best to take the rukhsah. And the other ulama who say, rather, when you're fasting with the Muslims, it's easy. You don't have to make up any missed days. There's the Ramadan spirit. There's no doubt when you're with people, it's easy to fast. And you look forward to breaking your fast. If you're sick, if you go to the dentist, and you're in the masjid for Salat al-Maghrib, and everybody's sitting down in front of the dates in the water, I say, dang man, I should have kept my fast. Is this not the case? You say this. You say, I should have kept my fast. It wasn't that bad. I could have waited a little longer. I want to sit with the Muslims, make dua with them, drink the Zamzam water in Medina. There is no doubt. Let alone the fact of responsibility being upon you, Asar Ramadan. When everybody's eating and drinking, there's a walima, there's a aqiqah, and then you're saying, what? I'm fasting. So some of the ulama, they say, if you don't need to break the fast, then you should keep the fast. I personally feel, and Allah knows best, it depends on the situation. It depends on the individual. You may be traveling somewhere. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Akhi, my brother, my friend Saadi says, Mufti, I want you to come to Bud Lake and give a khutbah. I want you to deliver a khutbah in Ramadan. I live in New York City or Philadelphia. It's far away. It's at least an hour, hour and a half. I have to come early to avoid traffic. When I come, I have to make sure that I'm physically prepared, mentally prepared, spiritually prepared to stand on those 3 slabs of wood and say, Ittaqullah, and deliver a khutbah in a strong, confident, powerful manner. It's an amana. It's a trust that's on my back. Brother Saad says, I'm going to pay for your gas, for your tolls. We're going to try to accommodate you as our guest. That's not his money. This is the money of the masjid, Allah's wealth. So is it right for me to take the gas, take the tolls, take the money, and come? Alhamdulillah. Nahmadu nasta'inu. I got a headache. I got a migraine. I'm thirsty. I'm tired. I'm weak. I don't have the same energy. Mufti without his glass, his cup of tea is not what? It's not the same Mufti. And it's an amana. And everybody has made an announcement. This khutbah, we have Mufti Muhammad Munir, who's coming to give us, inshallah, a spellbinding speech, a fabulous khutbah. And everybody's like, oh man, he's coming. And then I come and I'm mediocre. Does that make too much sense, Saad? Or does it make more sense for me to do that which is permissible? Drink the tea, eat a good breakfast, drink water, be hydrated, and get in the memoir. And alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'in. It's an amana now. I'm not a local person. I'm coming from out of town. So if you have a responsibility to fulfill, see how everybody paid attention when I raised my voice like that? The kids in the back eating the donuts. He came from behind the door. What was that? So this is a khutbah now. It's a reminder. This is a reality. This is a reality. Everybody clear on this? So the concept of if you have somewhere to go and which you must fulfill a responsibility, then there is no doubt you should do what? Break the fast. If you're going somewhere, you're visiting someone, you're doing something which you don't need all of your stamina, all of your whatever word you want to use, then perhaps it's best to do what? Keep the fast. So it has to be detailed. And this does not apply as well, or last but not least, this is very important, brothers and sisters, with regards to ignorance. We live in a time in which there's widespread ignorance. And not just talking about the Jews and the Christians, non-Muslims, Muslims themselves have become very ignorant of basics of their religion. And not only am I ignorant, but I'm also audacious. I don't know much, but I speak a lot. And I tell you what's right and what's wrong, what's sunnah, what's bid'ah. Don't do that, brother. That's haram. No, 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 you can't do that. And I have a little bit of knowledge. And I don't have enough respect and humility to keep silent. So sometimes when you're traveling with someone, it's best to break your fast, shorten a prayer, or whatever the case may be, to show them what is the sunnah and to teach them. Because ignorance is not to take over the sunnah. Ignorance is not to dominate the sunnah. And when ignorance does dominate the sunnah, we live how we live today in America, in which the ignorance, it has the upper hand over knowledge. And the brother who's not practicing the deen, who's not doing what he's supposed to do, he tells you, no, no, brother, you cannot pray like that. You cannot do that. That's bad. Don't sit like that. Don't do this. Don't go here. And this guy doesn't know anything. And you are the student of knowledge, Ali. You studied. You went overseas. You learned in detail. You read Tafsir Ibn Kathir 20 times. This guy doesn't know who Ibn Kathir is. And he dominates and he dictates to you what to do, what's halal and what's haram. Wallahi inna hala musibah. It's a problem, and it's something that we live in or with every single day. So the student of knowledge, the imam, the scholar, the alim, he has a bigger and greater responsibility. And sometimes it's bigger than you. I may go somewhere. I may be invited to a place. I may have to speak. I don't want to go. I mean, I want to speak. I mean, I want to do. I mean, I want to lead the salah. I mean, I want to answer this question. But it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Everybody understand this? It's bigger than me. And I have to show the people and teach the people what is correct and what is not correct according to Muhammad's way. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So many people think that you can't break your fast if you're traveling on an airplane, because it's not a camel or a donkey, it's not a horse. And that is wrong. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentioned in Surah 16, Surah An-Nahl, that He created the horses, He created the donkeys, He created the mules, He talked about the camels. He says for you to ride them and for them to be a means of adornment. Allah then says, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And Allah creates and will create that which you don't know about. I.e., Allah is telling you, today is horses, tomorrow there will be means of transportation that you don't know about. And Allah knows best how long the worldly life will exist. Allahu Alam. There's going to come a time, and Allah surely knows best, perhaps there will come a time in which the people have means of travel, and they'll laugh at us, and they'll make fun of us. It took you 7 hours to go there? You had to travel for 14 hours to go to Saudi Arabia? In the year 3017, it takes 1 hour. Allahu Alam. And if you think this is an exaggeration, then just read history. See this phone right here? How much storage? All the things it can do. Well, how big was the first computer? What was the function of the first computer? They had no idea that the technology would be how it is today. And Allah knew that these things are going to come and take place. The rules do not change. Allah knows best. Any other questions, brothers or sisters? Fadl Saad.
Is it authentic that it's not from righteousness to travel while you fast? And what was the circumstances?
Tayyib. Question says, is there a hadith or is it authentic that it isn't from righteousness to fast when you're traveling? Yes, there is an authentic hadith that says this. لَيْسَ مِنَ الصِّيَامِ أو لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. It is not of an act of piety to fast when you're traveling. There is an authentic hadith that states this. And yes, there is a context behind this hadith with regards to someone who has the option to break the fast, but they obstinately refuse. They're very thirsty, very tired. The man fell out. The people, he says, ظُلِّلَ عَلَيْهِ. They were screening him. They put an umbrella, a shade over him, fanning him, trying to bring him back. لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ صِيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. It says here that the man had passed out. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said those words. So this is a very important issue here pertaining to fasting and any other issue, is that there are some hadiths, not all, and that's another extremism right there. It's another means of extremism. But there are some hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ clearly said them in a specific context. And he meant something specific. And of course, there are other hadith which are general. And they do not apply to a time or a place. General legislation. But there are certain things in which the Messenger of Allah والسلام, said about one person, one specific individual, and the ruling was specific. And there are other things in which the Prophet said about one person or one instance, and the rulings were what? General. What is the cure? How do you know when it is, when it isn't? When there's a context? And once again, we live in a time in which there's so many people who talk about Islam who don't know what they're talking about. And they say, no, you don't have to eat with your right hand. The Prophet only said that to the munafiq. There's a context of that hadith. And then there's realize that the other hadith that talk about eating with the right hand or the left hand, etc. So there's so much ignorance that we live in today. How do you know when and when not? Man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fi din. Those whom Allah wishes to truly bless and give them good, He gives them understanding of the religion. And understanding of the religion is knowing when it's general, when it's specific. When it's in a context, when it's for everyone. When it has been abrogated, when it applies to 2017. The only way that you can know this in detail is to have fiqh. And fiqh is knowledge, it's understanding, and it is what? Wisdom. Knowing where to put something and where to place something. And the layman Muslim, the student of knowledge, if you get frustrated with difference of opinion, or you get frustrated with a mufti or a qazi or a qadi who doesn't know what he's talking about, he says he's good, he says, you get frustrated when you listen to things and you watch things. The frustration should lead you to you learning certain things, basic principles that will help you and assist you in getting out of the confusion. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a police officer. You don't have to be a judge to know basic rules. The police officer pulls you over. He pulls you over. There's certain things he can and cannot do. There's certain things that he can ask for and certain things he is not to ask you for. And if you have total ignorance of the basic rules, you can be taken advantage of. And excessive force can be used against you. You can be abused because you don't know the rules. And the same applies to Islam. So the basic rule is, when we teach classes, when we talk about things, when we discuss things in front of the general masses of the Muslims, then there are issues that we don't discuss. There are certain details that we don't get into, which are going to be confusing. But our ultimate goal is to raise and lift the bar and to increase the consciousness of the Muslim's mind and to get them and encourage them to learn basic things. A sign of misguidance and a sign of someone that is strayed from the path is when they wish to keep the people ignorant. They desire to keep the people low and base, because if you're ignorant, I can totally dominate you and control you. I can do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want to say because you don't know any better. This is a very important issue. Obviously, that needs to be dealt with in detail. Hopefully, the answer is clear. Wallahu alam.
I have a question.
Bismillah.
They say in Ramadan, there is a match in UK, soccer match. I go. Can I go and watch and miss my song because I'm traveling?
Clear. Question says, let's say in the UK there's a soccer match, a football match, and I'm traveling from America to the United Kingdom. Can I break my fast for that trip, for that journey? The simple summarized answer is yes, you can. You are allowed to. And that's because Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, أو على سفر, or you're traveling. وهذه نكرة في سياق الإثبات فتفيد العموم. Allah Azza wa Jal says, safar, a trip, a journey. He who was traveling فعدة من أيام أخر can make up and should make up and has to make up the days later on. So Allah Azza wa Jal did not specify the type of travel. The Messenger of Allah similarly did not specify the type of travel. As-siyamu fi safar, safar, traveling to disobey Allah, waliyadhu billah, traveling to make hajj, to make umrah, to seek ilm, to fight in Allah's cause, traveling to visit your grandmother, traveling because I want to just go somewhere. Safar is safar. So the rulings of Allah and His Messenger that have been inexplicitly mentioned must remain general. And it is not for me or you or any mufti or alim to make specific what Allah and His Messenger left general. To make explicit what Allah and His Messenger didn't do. It's a very important principle in Islam. However, all of the ulama, they don't agree with this. And some of them, they say, the only time that you're allowed to break your fast or shorten your prayers or make voluntary salat to other than the qibla, the rulings, the rukhs, the concessions of traveling is safar ta'ah, is that it has to be obedience. Traveling for Hajj, for Umrah, so on and so forth. However, that is not the strongest view from among the views of the fuqaha. So once again, in brief, if you're traveling to the UK, it is permissible to break your fast, even if you're going to watch Manchester versus Chelsea, Pakistan versus India. Tahir. Khair, inshallah. And Allah knows best. Clear, inshallah. Wallahu alam. Wa barakallahu feekum. Any other questions from the brothers and sisters before we stop? Question says, if you're in a place in which you cannot stand, can you pray in your car? The simple summarized answer is yes, you can, and no, you cannot. Sometimes you can pray in your car sitting down, and other times it's haram and it is invalid for you to pray sitting down in your car. When can you pray in your car? When it's a means of necessity or extreme hardship. Let's make an example of this. It's pouring down, it's pouring cats and dogs. It's raining tremendously. No masjid is close. There's no place in which it's a dry, clean surface for you to pray on. It's raining or it's snowing. It's very, very cold. It's very harsh and inclement weather outside. That's one situation. That's one scenario. Or there's a place outside in which is considered to be dangerous. Dangerous upon you. Physically dangerous for a Muslim woman to be by herself, standing, bowing, and praying, etc. An issue or an instance in which it's haram to pray in your car and your salah will be invalid is when you're just a little shy. There are men down there. You're in a parking lot. There are people going to this department store. You can go find a corner, quiet, comfortable, safe, pray, bow down, make sujood, but a woman says, I don't want to bend down. Men, we say, no. You have to pray. You have to stand. You have to make ruku' and you have to make sujood in a manner that is befitting standing up. And a few people being over there, somebody walking by, seeing you really quick, is not a valid excuse. Or it could be a little bit of rain, for example. Or it could be an instance in which the masjid is 10 minutes away, but you don't want to drive. Or you mismanage your time. And it's a very important point for every single Muslim. If I'm going to go shop, if I'm going to travel, I have to plan my time well. It's 12 p.m. Salatul Dhuhr comes in, let's say, 1 p.m. This is the mall. Dhuhr goes out. At this time, the masjid is there. You have to plan it out. I have to make wudu, use the bathroom. You have to plan it out. You have to make a strategic plan not to miss the salah. And many Muslims, men and women, when they say, I'm traveling, it's raining outside, I'm stuck in traffic in Manhattan, I'm driving, I can't stop the car, I can't get out. It's because they mismanaged their time. If it was a job appointment, if it was a meeting, if it was a date, or something like this, they would manage their time better. However, for argument's sake, whatever happened. There is no time. You're stuck. You have to pray sitting down, and the time is going to go out. You can pray sitting down. And the same applies to a train. The same applies to a plane. However, try your best to prepare before the time goes out. Prepare before the time goes out. If you're traveling, combine the salah. Everybody understand this? But if you're not traveling and the time is going to go out, Bismillah, pray sitting down. Make sure that you face the Qibla and do as much as you can from the salah as you can. Hopefully that's clear, inshallah ta'ala. Hopefully that's clear, inshallah. Allah knows best. Bismillah.
Let's say, then we had been like 1 o'clock. Okay, I'm at work. Then about 5 o'clock.
Tayyib.
Okay, instead of praying at work, right? Can I wait until I go home, which I go home like 4 o'clock,
Tayyib.
to do it the right way, take a shower, or
Tayyib. Khair, inshallah. Question says, let's say Salatul Dhuhr comes in at 1 p.m. and Asr comes in at 5 p.m. Is it permissible for me to wait until I get home, make Salatul Dhuhr at 4 p.m., before it goes out. At 5 p.m., do it the right way. Take a shower, take my time, etc. The simple, basic answer, الجواب المختصر نعم هذا جائز. يجوز تؤخر الصلاة عن وقتها ما لم يخرج وقتها. لكن لا تتخذ هذا عادة كل يوم عادة تؤخر الظهر تؤخر لا لكن يجوز. It's permissible to do this, to make Salat al-Dhuhr at 4 p.m. to make Salat al-Dhuhr at 4:30 p.m. It's permissible. But it shouldn't be something that you do on a daily basis. It shouldn't be something that you take as your normal practice for several reasons. The first reason is, he says, كالراعي يرعى حول الحمى يوشك أن يرتع فيه. You get closer to a thing, you walk around the thing close. The next thing you know, you're into that haram thing. Everybody clear on this? You're into that haram thing. So if you inch, eventually you'll inch into the haram. It's not haram yet. It's not a bad thing what you're doing, but you're getting closer and closer. Eventually, a time is going to come when you fall over and you tip over into that of haram. So it shouldn't be something that you do on a daily basis. That's first and foremost. However, it is permissible to make Salat al-Dhuhr at 4 p.m. as long as Salat al-Asr has not come in. Dhuhr is valid. It can be made as long as Asr what? Has not come in. That's first and foremost. Secondly is, obviously, not the questioner, but many people, they have the understanding that it's best to delay the salah. The salah goes out because I have to take a shower. I was playing soccer. I'm working. I do heavy machinery, whatever the case may be. For you to make Salatul Dhuhr before 5 p.m. and you're sweating a little bit, or you're a baker, you have dough on your clothes, as long as it isn't najasa, and as long as you're not junub, in a state of sexual defilement, it is beloved and more fond to Allah to pray with the dough on you and dirt on you than let Salatul Dhuhr leave. I've seen with my own 2 eyes, Muslims overseas, they say, yalla, let's go to the masjid. They say, oh, wallahi, I have to make a shower. I was playing soccer. Tayyib, ya akhi, sweat is not najis. You're clean. You know, Salah is not a fashion show. Should you be clean? No doubt. Is it a means of standing in front of Allah? No doubt. But if you have to pray how it is, it's better for you to pray with your soccer clothes on as long as your awrah is covered than miss the salah. However, if dhuhr comes in at 1, you get home 1:30, 2 o'clock, you take a shower, of course, هذا خير أفضل. هذا خير أفضل. That's even better. But to clear up حتى لنزيل الأشكال على كثير من الناس. The problem is they think that I cannot pray at work because I have on my work clothes. And that's wrong. That's incorrect. As long as the awrah is covered. Your pants that you're wearing are covering your body. Your pants are not super tight. You make the sujood, you make the ruku', and it's not like skin tight clothes on you. A sister who works, she obviously shouldn't be wearing something that is not to be worn outside the house, period. But for argument's sake, a sister dresses in an un-Islamic fashion. When it's time to pray, stop what you're doing and put on the clothes and make the salah. Some sisters, they'll say, well, that's a mockery. What's the point of me putting on a hijab and I'm going to go back? No. That's from the shaitan. It's better for you to meet Allah not wearing hijab than meeting Allah not making the salah. And if you make salah without clothes, it's as if you didn't pray. So don't fall into the traps of the shaitan. The salah can be made with work clothes on. The salah can be made with basketball clothes on as long as the awrah is covered, as we said. Salat can be made with dust and dirt and wood. You work as a carpenter. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if the salat is far from going out, you're going to go home, you can take a shower, brush your teeth, inshallah, that's best. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadda.
Which book of Tafsir Quran you recommend that is easier to understand?
Sorry. Khair. Question says, what book would you recommend for the tafsir of the Quran that's easy to understand? والله هناك كتب كثيرة جدا. مختصر ابن كثير، تفسير ابن سعدي، فتح القدير، مختصره زبدة التفسير، أيسر التفاسير للشيخ أبي بكر الجزائري. هذا من أسهل وأبسط التفاسير وفيها أحكام وفوائد وأشياء تربوية مهمة جدا. فإن شاء الله مهما أخذت من هذه التي ذكرت لن يفوتك الخير. تفسير عبد الرحمن ابن سعدي مختصر في جزء واحد. تفسير الجلالين كذلك، زبدة التفسير، أيسر التفاسير الشيخ أبي بكر الجزائري، وكذلك عمدة التفسير الذي هو اختصار ابن كثير رحمه الله. هذا أفضل لطالب العلم للعامي طبعا الذي يقرأ ويفهم اللغة العربية الفصحى، وإن يعني إن لم يشبع بهذه الكتب فلا شك ولا ريب عليه بكتاب ابن كثير رحمه الله، فإن فيه غنية عن كثير مما سواه، فيه الأحاديث والآثار والفوائد، وصاحب الكتاب صاحب عقيدة سليمة، ليس هناك أخطاء عقدية تأويلات وأشياء فاسدة، بعيد عن هذا. هذا الذي يعني أنصحك بها إن شاء الله تعالى. The books of tafsir that are good for a student of knowledge or beginner or layman Muslim, so on and so forth. Obviously, the question or the answer is going to change a bit in English, because most of those books that I mentioned, not all of them, but most of them are only in Arabic. And those from among those books that have been translated into English, some of them have been stripped of all of their nutrients when they were translated, like Jalalain. Jalalain is meant to be understood in Arabic. Al-Muhim, in English, a very good book of tafsir is summarized Ibn Kathir. Summary. And the summary of Ibn Kathir itself needs to be summarized as well, because it's considered, it's a bit lengthy. Also, there's the tafsir of Juz Amma of Ibn Sa'di, rahimahullah. Ibn Sa'di, Al-Fatiha, Juz Amma has been translated. And the first thing that the general Muslim should focus on, and the most important part of the Quran to understand and reflect upon, is Juz Amma. And that is because that is the part of the Quran, in most cases, which is recited the most in the Salah. And it makes sense for you to understand, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا لَمْ يَكُنِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ for you to understand what those verses mean, because you hear them in the Salah often. Alright? If you want a bit more, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jalalain is not bad, even though it's in English. Those are most of the tafsir books that I know about in English. Parts of Tabari have been translated. However, to be honest with you, there's nothing like reading tafsir in its original language. It's nothing like the buffet that you're going to find in Arabic. You can read from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th century. Any scholar that you want in Arabic. Any level that you're on. You're a hadith guy. You're a fiqh man. You like lugha al-Arabiya. You like poetry. The list goes on. Alright? However, for the layman Muslim in English, there is no doubt tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha and Juz Amma of Ibn Sa'di, which has been translated, is very good. Also, the summarized version of Ibn Kathir is very good as well. And we were saying to the brother in Arabic that Ibn Kathir, from the good things of Ibn Kathir, from the virtues of his book, number one, is that it's full of hadith. It's full of hadith. Number two, is that Ibn Kathir was far from the different mistakes and errors that some of the ulama of tafsir made regarding the unseen, regarding the ghaib, regarding Allah's names and attributes. He was far from those things. And obviously, giving a book to a beginner or to someone on a simple, basic, elementary level, free of mistakes, is better than giving them something that has things to stay away from. A straight path, a beginner. I just got my license. Stay away from this road that has potholes in it. You can manage it, but it's for a more experienced driver. Here's a smooth, clear road. Wallahu alam.
It is permissible combine both salah before travel or after come home
Sorry.
from the travel,
Clear.
instead of praying in between.
Sorry. When you mean before travel, when you're still in your house or before you reach your destination?
Right. Still I'm in house, but it's still Dhuhr time.
Clear.
So can I combine both together?
Clear. You can combine Dhuhr and Asr in your house before you're actually traveling in one condition. And that condition is due to the time, the distance, the airport, the weather. You know that you're going to get jammed up later on. It's an hour drive. I have to check in. It's going to be a line. By the time I get to the airport, park everything, the salat may go out. And the airport is still in my Medina. It's not outside of my Medina. So I know I'm not going to be able to make wudu. I'm not going to have the ability to do it. So occasionally, not every day, it's permissible for you to combine your salat in your home and then hit the road. There's no doubt about that.
Or after travel,
When you come home, no.
suppose I start 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I came home from somewhere else. I came home at 5 or 5:30.
And you made the dhuhr or asr already on the trip?
No,
When you get home,
combined together.
you are no longer a traveler. But there's a very important rule that we have to mention. And this rule is, everybody listen very carefully, that it is permissible for someone to combine their prayers if they are not traveling, if there is a need. A need. There is a need, such as surgery. I'm going to go under surgery. They're going to put me under the knife. I'm going to be knocked out for hours. I'm not traveling. I'm in Bud Lake. So I want to make my dhuhr and asr now because I know when I wake up, it's going to be Maghrib time. That's an instance. Or you're sick. Not dying, but I'm sick. I'm in a lot of pain. It's hard to get up. It's hard to stand up. This medicine makes me woozy. And I'm not traveling. So I make dhuhr and asr at home. Or another scenario is a woman who has irregular bleeding. She has istihada. It's not menstrual bleeding. It's irregular. It's permissible for her to combine dhuhr and asr. And she's in her home in New Jersey. Or something is going to come up. And let's say you're extremely exhausted. You're dead tired. And you know once I hit this bed, KO, lights out, I'm going into hibernation. I know that. No matter what alarm clock I set, I'm not getting up. So therefore, it's Maghrib time. I make my intentions. I make Salat al-Maghrib and Salat al-Isha. And you go to sleep because you're going to be knocked out and you're not going to wake up until Fajr time. So it's permissible as long as you don't do it on a daily basis. It shouldn't be something that's done all of the time. And wallahi, this thing here is very beneficial. Because there are times in which it's a hardship. You're extremely tired. You're held up in the doctor's office. And you know you're going to get held up in this place waiting for your passport. You know it. So you prepare ahead of time. However, if there is no reason, there is no traveling, you're at home, you have to make the salah in a specific prescribed time. Hopefully that's clear, inshallah ta'ala. Fadlan.
I've heard like different opinion with regards to the time for Isha. So can you just shed some light on that, like some of the evidences from each side? Some people say at midnight.
The ulama of Islam, they differ. When does Salat al-Isha go out? Does it go out when Salat al-Fajr comes in? Or does it go out muntasaf al-layl, which literally means midnight, not 12 a.m., because we know the whole calculation of time, days, even distance is a bit different in the lands or the world of the Muslims and of the non-Muslims. The day, lunar versus solar, so on and so forth. All right? So therefore, does Isha go out when Fajr comes in? Or does Isha go out when it's half of the distance between sunset and Fajr? In other words, you calculate the time. Salat al-Maghrib to Salat al-Fajr. Cut it in half with a pair of scissors. You slice the time in half. That time is midnight in Islam. And not necessarily 12 a.m. Not necessarily what? 12 a.m. However, so everybody clear on this. So therefore, this is a long discussion. The view that seems to be most apparent in Allahu Alam is that Salat al-Isha has two times. Just like Salat al-Asr has two times. And the first time is that you should not delay Isha after or past Muntasaf al-Layl, midnight, unless there is a reason. But there is a reason. Something did hold you up. It's permissible to make Salat al-Isha before Salat al-Fajr comes in. And the generality of the dalil is stronger and clearer. As that the Salat leaves when the next Salat comes in. And what's meant by the hadith regarding Muntasaf al-Layl, midnight, is preference. Afdaliyah is preference. Well, we have that, inshallah, tajtami' al-adillah, inshallah. With this, we harmonize between all of the different proofs and evidences. So it's a very, very long discussion. What is important is that a person, the general rule, is that you should make the salah how the Prophet ﷺ made the salah. How did he make Maghrib? In the beginning of the time or later on? How did he make Asr? As soon as it came in, or did he wait an hour and a half? And this can only come from, once again, knowledge, ilm. And there's some things that the ulama agree on, and there are other things that the ulama differ on. The opinion that I feel is most clear in Allahu Alam is that Salat al-Isha goes out finally when Fajr comes in. Obviously, it's a very long technical discussion among the fuqaha. We don't have the time to get into it right now. But that's the khulasa in my humble opinion. Wallah, hopefully that's sufficient. We know that you have a bigger appetite. We give you a burger, you want a steak. Malish.
I have a question.
Bismillah.
If sometimes you pray Isha and you leave your before the Fajr.
Okay.
So, if you're doing tahajjud, and so how that works, since you're saying that Isha just finishes at 12,
Clear.
and witr you're doing it as part of tahajjud,
Clear.
how that works.
Once you make Salat al-Isha, regardless whether you've made it in congregation, if you made it at home, made it at work, al-muhim you made Salat al-Isha, you have the following options. Number one is to sleep for a bit. A couple hours, 3 hours, sleep. Get some rest. Then you wake up, you make wudu, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, and you make your tahajjud. You make your qiyam. You start praying at night. And the crown jewel, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake is the witr. That's the icing of the cake. That's the witr. The witr should be the last thing that you make at nighttime. And there shouldn't be two witrs that you make at night. So let's say, for example, you overslept and you didn't have a chance to make the witr that you normally make at night. Some of the ulama of Islam from the Sahaba and their followers will make it after Salat al-Fajr. They make it after Subh. And they would never miss the witr that they would normally what? Make. So it's very, very easy and it's very simple. You can make tahajjud, qiyam al-layl, these are all synonyms. And that's another problem. People think that they're different words. It's all one. Qiyam al-layl, tarawih, tahajjud, all mean the same thing. Prayer at night. So therefore, whether you go to sleep first and wake back up, or whether you make Isha, after work tomorrow morning, I prayed Isha, I had dinner, my wife and my children for Maghrib, it's Isha time, well, let's make 4 rak'ahs together. Let's make 6 rak'ahs together. And the 7th rak'ah, the 5th rak'ah is going to be the witr. 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9 rak'ahs are all optional for witr. You have an option. Before you sleep or after you sleep. What's important is that there shouldn't be more than one witr in one night, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Hopefully that's clear.
Yeah, very clear. And one last question.
Faddal.
If you're doing Isha as a qaza, so do you still need to do witr with it, or 4 farz is considered as your...
You're making Isha up?
Yeah.
Type. Whenever you make Isha up, you missed it or you woke up, whatever the case may be, Isha is never ever witr. And it's never ever qiyam, abadan. You could do other things that may take the place, but not the fard. One voluntary prayer sometimes takes the place of another voluntary prayer with the proper intention, such as you come into the masjid for Salat al-Fajr. The Prophet has told us, in the authentic narration, Abu Qatada told us, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحْدُكُمُ الْمَسْجِدِ فَلَا يَقْعُدْ حَتَّى يَرْكَعْ رَكْعَتَيْنِ أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. He says, when you come into the masjid, don't sit down until you make at least 2 rak'ah. The Prophet never specified which 2 rak'ah. Fard, nafal, he says what? 2 rak'ah. So you come into the masjid, and let's say hypothetically you missed Fajr yesterday, and you just remembered. You can make up the missed Fajr, and that counts as your 2 rak'ah for the what? For the masjid. No, for the masjid, the tahiyyat al-masjid. Or you can make the sunnah of Fajr for the tahiyyat al-masjid. So I made the sunnah of Fajr in place of tahiyyat al-masjid. This is an example in which one sunnah prayer can take the place of another sunnah prayer. But that's never the case with fard. The fard has to be done by itself and respected by itself. So you make the Isha prayer, and if you're tired and if it's late, then at least make 1 rak'ah of witr. Don't go to sleep without prayer. Do something. 1 rak'ah, 5 minutes. Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Ikhlas. Pray before you sleep. Clear, inshallah?
No, my question was that if I'm making up my Isha next day, so do I need to do witr also as...
You missed the Isha?
Yeah, and I missed the Isha.
Right. Yeah, and if you want to make up the witr, because if you do the witr normally, it's something that's from your normal practice, then that's one thing. However, that which is clear and simple is that day is gone. And it's not like the Fajr. That's close time period. A whole day has passed. Start anew. Start fresh. Inshallah ta'ala. You don't necessarily have to make up the witr. Now, obviously the question is pertaining to another issue. And that is witr obligatory? Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala and others, they held the view that witr was mandatory. However, most of the other ulama, the overwhelming majority, they held the view that the only thing that's mandatory in Islam, 5 prayers. And that witr is not mandatory. However, if that's what you're following, that's how you were taught, la bas, no problem. Stick with that and make the witr. But the fruit of knowing that it's not obligatory is a situation like this, in which is a hardship and confusion. Do I have to make up the witr because witr is fard? In actuality, witr is not fard. according to the other ulama. Hopefully clear, inshallah.
Yeah, that's what.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the brothers or the sisters before we stop? Thank you very much for your time and respect. Jazakumullahu khairan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.